am Sherman D. Manning, joining you live from Beverly Hills, California. It is now 12:14 a.m. It is just past midnight in Los Angeles. I assume it's about 3:14 a.m. on the East Coast, my hometown, Atlanta, Georgia. And it is 9:14 a.m. in Switzerland. In Switzerland, where the best friend that I have on the planet lives, Peter Andrist and his beautiful wife, Katrin, and their two kids, Felix Alexander and Philip Michael. They are in Switzerland. I greet them. Greetings to everybody everywhere, San Jose, California, Los Angeles, wherever you might be catching us. Greetings, 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 greetings. If you're looking at a photo that came along with this podcast, that is Fred Hampton Jr. I don't have time to talk about him. Google him. Fred, Hampton Jr. His dad was a revolutionary. And the young lady is Nicole. She is an employee with a service that helps ex-cons in Los Angeles and the local LA area. If we don't do something about the prison industrial complex, the entire criminal justice system as we know it will blow up. It is a powder keg. The prisons in America are busting at the seams. And I think no other state has the concentration of prisons that California has. I speak experientially. The system is corrupted, it is racist, it is classist, it is rotten at its core. And all I want you to remember, I came on the air this early in the morning just to communicate one thought, one message to you. And that is, if you don't start caring about what goes on inside the prisons, remember that the prisoners will one day be ex-prisoners. The inmates will be outmates. And when they come out, they'll be your neighbors. Did you get that? Every inmate, for the most part, about 90% of them, except for the ones on death row, even the ones who do. See, that's what we don't, we're so knee-jerk and reactionary in our society. When we make these laws that say we can give somebody 40 years for this and 50 years for that, we don't think about the fact that these people are coming home. They don't stay in prison forever. And it seems like the right thing a lot of times to do at the moment when we're sending a person away. But what we don't realize is that they will live to see another day. And one day that time will run out. And the problem is we don't have enough prisons to lock up as many people as we have locked up forever. We've already got too many people locked up for too long. That's number one. And number two, just remember, whatever you do, you might not live to see them come home, but your children and your children's children will live to see them come home. And if they come home and rape somebody, or if they come home and murder somebody, then their blood, the blood of the victims, is basically on your hands because you sat and watched a criminal justice system that is out of control and you did nothing about it. You did not try to fix this. You did not try to turn this thing around. And that is sick and that is sad. And we ought to be ashamed of ourselves to lock people up the way we do in this country. Listen, I just got out of jail. Okay, so nobody can tell me anything about the criminal justice system. I mean, hands down, I think even my worst enemies would admit that when it comes to the criminal justice system, if there is an expert, if there is such thing as an expert, I'm an expert on that. I mean, not only was I there for more than a decade, wrongly convicted, but I studied like I was in a science class. I considered the prison to be a human laboratory for me. I literally studied everything about the prison, from the top down and from the bottom up. I studied the rapist. I studied the murderers. I studied the criminal guards. I studied the wardens. At New Folsom State Prison, I knew every warden that was there for more than 10 years and was on a first name basis with each of them. Call Jeff McCumber at New Folsom State Prison right now. He's the warden. I ended up falling out with him because he turned out to be a little bit duplicitous, and I found that out. But I was on a first name basis with him. Call former warden Jimmy Walker, a very, very good fella. I called him Jimbo. That was my personal nickname for him. And he called me Sherman. And he was the warden of the prison. And so I could go on and on. I knew these guys, watched them promote, talked to them on a daily basis. I knew every killer. I knew every rapist. I knew every whatever kind of crime you want to name that a person can do. I knew them. And I studied them like a rocket scientist because I knew I was there and I should not be there. And first and foremost, I wanted to know who else was there that shouldn't be there. And secondly, I wanted to know what could we do to help the ones who should be there to be better when they got out. I wanted to know these things. And so I never just sat back in jail like it was the place to be. I was never comfortable there. I figured since I was there and I couldn't get out physically, I would get out mentally. So I used prison as my personal writing studio. I wrote about the things I saw. I wrote about the things I heard. I wrote about the staff. I wrote about the inmates. It angered the staff. Many of them attacked me in more ways than many because they couldn't control me. They couldn't control what I wrote. They couldn't control what I thought. I decided that Reuben Hurricane Carter was right, that I would neither live in the cell nor in the jail, but that I would use my mind to free myself. And when I picked up my pen, I left that cell and entered into another dimension. Jail cells can't hold you when you can write and when you can read. I always say readers are leaders, and books are the passports to take you anywhere you want to go. And so always find time to put some reading in. It's just my suggestion. While I was there, I wrote 22 books. 22. I was blessed by God to be able to write those books. And mentioning those books, I would suggest that you please consider going to your local bookstore and getting a copy of my newest book, which is The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. Go get a copy of my mega book, Kids Killing Kids. Get a copy of American Dream, A Search for Justice. Get a copy of Don't Mess with Texas. Get a copy of From the Palace to the Prison. Oh, you got to get that. Get a copy of Creating Monsters, a must-read. Get a copy of, I'm running out of name, Blue-Eyed Blonde. The only fiction book I've ever written, Blue-Eyed Blonde. So I suggest that you get these books and read them and heed them, and they'll make a difference in your life. So you can get them at local bookstores or you can get them at Amazon.com. Just go to Amazon.com and Google my name, and most of my stuff will come up. But make sure you take a look at Get the Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. And also make sure you get Kids Killing Kids, American Dream, A Search for Justice. And Don't Mess with Texas. Go take a look at those books today. They are worth reading. And a lot of these things just give you an overview as to what I had to go through and what I saw on a daily basis. You know, prison is a fascinating place. It's a deadly place. It's an evil place. It's a place I would never want to go back to again. But it is also a fascinating place. Fascinating people. The people you meet there would shock the crap out of you. And just, you know, the whole rhythm and the rhyme and the culture, the subculture of the prison system is just off the charts. Never seen anything like it in my life. Probably will never see anything else again like it in my life. And it was very difficult for me and very unique for me and perplexing and stressful because of the fact that I was an ordained minister and evangelist before I ever went to prison. And oh God, if I had time to talk about that, we'll talk about it tomorrow. I guess I finally go to bed here. Listen, get the truth about O.J. Simpson, race, class, money, and justice. Get my book, Creating Monsters. Get Kids Killing Kids. Get American Dream, A Search for Justice. Get From the Palace to the Prison. And also get my book, Don't Mess with Texas. Don't forget my book, Blue-Eyed Blonde. All of these are worth reading. Go to YouTube and look at my videos. Tell everybody you know we want people to know. Tell it everywhere you go. We want people to know. Tell people to tune into this podcast and tell them to go to YouTube and look at our videos. Tell them to go get a copy of my book, The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. Sherman D. Manning, 1226, y'all. I'll talk to you tomorrow.